Across the globe, floods are among the most common and devastating natural disasters. Floods displace communities, damage infrastructure, and tragically affect approximately 20 to 50 million people, including thousands of deaths every year. These floods have one thing in common: they are made of water. But there was a flood that was unlike any other in history. A flood not of water, but of something far more unusual and unexpected. This is a moment in history called the Great Molasses Flood of 1919. At the dawn of the 20th century, Boston stood as a bustling epicenter of the American Industrial Revolution. This vibrant city hosted an array of flourishing industries, such as textile mills, shoemaking, and machinery. Amidst these industries, one played a subtly pivotal role: the alcohol industry. Integral to its operations was molasses, a dense, sweet syrup born from the refinement of sugar. This unassuming byproduct was not just a culinary staple, but a key ingredient in the production of spirits, weapons, and explosives. In the bustling North End was a colossal structure, a molasses storage tank owned by the United States Industrial Alcohol Company. It stood 50 feet tall and 90 feet in diameter, holding 2.5 million gallons of molasses. To get a sense of this volume, that's enough liquid to fill 3.5 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Built hastily in 1915 to meet the growing demand for industrial alcohol, the tank displayed numerous ominous signs of trouble brewing. It was never inspected nor tested for leaks. The company ignored the fact that the tank groaned horribly each time it was filled. Leaks were prevalent, leading to children bringing cups to fill with the sweet molasses dripping out. One day, a concerned laborer brought into the treasurer's office shards of steel peeling off from the tank walls. However, the treasurer was not worried. He said,
"I don't know what you want me to do. The tank still stands."
Until it didn't. At midday on a cold day on January 15th, 1919, the tank burst open. The thick liquid rushed out as a 25-foot tall tidal wave, sweeping through the streets upwards of 35 miles an hour. It engulfed everything in its path, swallowing up people, trapped horses, and crushing buildings. The substance flowed outward for about 2 city blocks. Rescue efforts began immediately, but the cold air made the molasses thick and heavy. Rescuers stood in ankle-deep molasses, sometimes up to a foot deep, desperately trying to free people buried under buildings and debris. It took 4 days to find any survivors, and the strong smell of molasses lingered in the area for decades. The final toll of the tragedy was 21 people killed and 150 injured. Early speculations as to the cause of the disaster was that the molasses had fermented, building up too much pressure inside the tank. Another expert claimed that the tank was the target of an anarchist's bomb. US industrial alcohol was under trial for over 5 years, which gathered input from thousands of witnesses, culminating in 20,000 pages of testimony, some of it contradictory. In the end, USIA was found liable and had to pay restitution of $15 million in today's money, even though it was unclear at the time how it all happened. But recent research and analysis has shed more light on the disaster. The tank walls were found to be too thin to hold that much weight. The walls were just over 0.6 inches thick at the bottom and 0.3 inches at the top. The rivet designs were also flawed. The stresses were too much for the rivet holes to withstand. Finally, the steel that made up the tank had been mixed with too little manganese. This made the metal brittle below 59 degrees. All these factors contributed to the inevitable disaster. As the Boston neighborhood rebuilt in the aftermath of the Great Molasses Flood, the world watched and learned. This was not just a local tragedy, but a pivotal moment in industrial safety that would resonate for generations. The disaster led to a sweeping overhaul of safety standards and regulations, setting a new precedent for industrial responsibility. It also spurred legal transformations, establishing the principle of corporate accountability. The Great Molasses Flood is not just a curious anecdote from the past. It is a stark lesson in vigilance, responsibility, and progress. Its legacy is embedded in every safely constructed building, in every comprehensive safety regulation, and in the collective memory of a city that rose from a tragedy to champion the cause of industrial safety. Thank you for watching this moment in history. If you liked this episode, please like and subscribe.